Hey everyone, welcome back to Alchemy with Xerophayze. This is Eric, and in this video I wanted to touch on something that there's been a lot of requests for to maybe dive a little deeper into, and that's using in-painting techniques to remove objects from pictures, scenes, whatever you want to call it. And so we're going to go through those steps. I'm going to show you a couple different ways to do this, whether it's using digital illustrations, photography, images you generate yourself with Stable Diffusion. Is usually where most people do that. So you generate some images and you find one you like, but there's like something in it you don't want there. I'm going to show you how to remove that. Okay, so let's dive into this. We're going to just generate a picture here. We'll generate a couple, see if we can get the one we want. We're just going to add a negative in there for this particular one, but we're going to turn down the negative weight here using negative prompt weight, or NPW if you want to look for the extension. Okay. I want to change the aspect ratio. I want to do a little bit wider than narrow. I'm going to do a couple different images to generate. I'm using a model called Xerophayze XL. This is actually a pretty good model. I'd say it's right up there with the Sahasrara model that I use a lot. Give it just a few seconds here to finish this up. Not a bad image. Dog's playing something there. You got a lot of balls around. Okay. Yeah, I like this one better. It's got a lot of objects in it that we can mess around with, figure out what we want to do with it. Okay. It does offer some complexity, so this will offer a chance to dive in and figure out how to remove something a little more complex than just one object. See, we got objects in front of other objects and shadowing and everything. And let's just see how good we can do on this. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to send this over to InPaint. I'm going to show you the straight up, in-painting method. The second method I'm going to show you is using Inpaint-Anything. I love Inpaint-Anything. They've done some updates, so I am going to take time in this video to show you some of those. I'm still kind of familiarizing myself with it as well. So let's just start with the regular Inpainting. So let's send it over to the Inpainting tab using the palette button here. It does bring that over. Let's see if we got everything else. We got the right aspect ratio. Denoise string. Okay. All right. So now what we want to do is figure out what it is we want to remove. So there are a lot of objects in here. We're just going to pick a couple things here and do this a couple times so you can see the process. Okay. I think the first thing I'm going to remove, I don't know what these are. I actually just want the image to have the balls on the floor. Okay, so we're going to adjust my paintbrush. Let's make it a little bit bigger. And I'm going to mask out, I don't want to just create this tiny little mask like that, okay? I want to actually create a mask around it, give it a little bit of buffer room. When dealing with these other objects like these balls, it's okay to mask over that a little bit, okay? With the AI, it's all about context. It's going to have the ball to call upon to finish up that ball, to kind of redraw what we're doing. So we're going to get rid of these two objects here. Now, the trick to this, there's two different ways you can do this. Okay, one of the techniques I found is you create another masked area further away from the initial masked area. So we're going to just bring this down. We're just going to come up here and put a little mask area up here. Okay, that forces the program to create the bounding box. Like if you're going to use only masked, okay, it forces the AI the software to create this bounding box around this whole thing instead of just this one here, okay? And let me see if I can explain this right. What that also does is it prevents the AI from creating too much detail or thinking it has to create too much detail. It's like it draws its focus back, okay? And when it does that, it's when you have more of the outer context or image surrounding what it is you want to erase, it's going to utilize that as the context and not necessarily this here. Yes, in here we're going to try this with the full prompt, but a lot of times I would just remove the object like with toy. So it's a toy, so I would just get rid of it. But in this sense, I'm going to show you how to do this without that. Let's select our negative. Okay. Come down here. We are going to, because we're working with, so this is something else I'm going to show you. Normally you do this with an in-painting model. I'm going to show you the difference between using an inpainting model and not inpainting model. Now you can do this without using an inpainting model. I'm going to show you what it does, and I'm going to show you how to fix it. Okay. So we're going to leave it on the model that it's on. Okay. We are going to increase the mask blur to 12. 10 to 12 is usually good because we're dealing with a higher resolution. It'll help alleviate the border issue. Okay. So this technique that I'm going to do will leave a border here, but I'm going to show you how to get rid of that. But it does involve re-rendering the image, which may change certain aspects of it. So if you're okay with that, then you can get rid of those borders. Okay. If not, we can go. Well, I'll show you how to do the inpainting method. Okay. So the only mask padding pixels, I want to increase this. We're going to go all the way up to I think 48, and leave everything else the same. I'm going to do only mask first. I'll show you what whole picture does too. We're going to increase this to up to above 90. We're going to do 95. This does give the AI a chance to really change what's under the masked area and generate something different. Okay. Negative prompt rate, we're going to leave the same. Everything else is going to be the same. Let's go ahead and render this, see what it does. Let's do two images, just so in case one doesn't work out, hopefully the other one does. Again, you are dealing with some randomness here. Okay, so as you can see, we have two different images. This one, it did actually remove the objects. Okay, it is interesting. We are this is what I expected. We do have a bit of a bounding area here that's a little odd. The coloring's not quite right. Okay, it looks a lot like this area over here that's outside the shadowed area. So it's doing something a little weird. You could run with that if you wanted. I'm going to show you how to fix that. The other images didn't quite work out. It put this half ball there. So I don't really care about that one. So we're going to go with this one here. Okay. As you can see, the little mask we put up at the top doesn't really show up. It blended in nicely. It's fine. It was small enough. We didn't have to worry about it. Okay. So a couple different ways we can get rid of this here. Now we could switch over to an inpainting model. Okay. Again, I would recommend just using an inpainting model right from the beginning. But let's show you the two techniques. So first one we're going to do is send this over to image to image. Okay. We're going to come down here. We're going to leave the sampling steps the same. We're going to leave all that the same. That's the same. Batch size, we'll leave it 2. The denoise strength, this is where we want to reduce it down to something that gives us enough change that it's going to blend that in a little bit better, modify and make it look better, while still retaining the main image. Okay, you're going to find that anywhere between like 35 and like 50 at the most. So we're going to do 45, see what we get, and try that. Okay, everything else you can leave the same to get the same image. So let's just generate that. Okay, so we got a couple of images here. Yes, I like this. It kind of created the shadow for this right here. It almost like there's getting some reflection over here. That's why the coloring over on this side of the room is different a little bit than this side. It fixed the line for the board right there. Okay, so not bad. Did okay. That one actually is a little bit better. I like that one a lot better. So again, just re-rendering the whole image with very low denoise strength. Okay. It will change small aspects of the image, but as you can see, it is not that much. If you're okay with that, maybe even add a little more detail with the puppy. Some of the toys up here obviously changed. So that's one way to do it. Okay, here's the other way. Let's go ahead and switch over to an inpainting model. Okay. Oops. We can get this to select that. Okay. We are going to do a 1.5 inpainting model, and I actually like the Xerophayze RPG Artist Tools V3 with inpainting. The thing with this one you need to make sure is you just select the VAE that goes with it. Okay. I think I've got it. Yeah, there it is. Give it a second to switch the model here. We'll go ahead and select that one. And we're going to go back over to the Inpainting tab. We've got those same objects selected. We've got the same mask up there selected. We're going to do everything the same. Okay. We don't need to change anything. We're going to leave it on only masked. Okay. And now that we've got an Inpainting model selected, we're going to go ahead and just hit generate. Okay, one thing I forgot to do is turn the denoise strength back up because we just ended up with the 2 toys again. So again, bring that back up over 90. Let's just double check everything here. Yeah, okay, let's try that again. Okay, awesome. So as you can see, using an Inpainting model does a lot better. Okay, it did a great job on both images. I think this one's a little bit better. The coloring matches up a little bit better. See how it filled in the ball again, even though we masked it out. Okay, that's why I say a lot of times when you're masking stuff out, don't worry about getting those edges so exact. It actually kind of messes things up. You want to give the AI context as to what's actually there. That's why I went ahead and masked out part of the ball, because there's a lot of the ball there, and the AI knows that, and it's able to grab that. Okay. When I was masking out the toys, I just made sure I gave it a lot of the flooring in the mask, which tells the, gives the AI context of what's actually there. And what helps it get rid of the object is putting this mask up here, forcing it to pull its focus back and not be so focused on that tiny little area. Okay, I think you could achieve the same thing if you, let's say we get rid of these masks here. Okay. And let's come down here. We're going to mask it out again. We're going to give it lots of context again. Okay, mask out part of the ball. Oops. I don't know if I want to mask that part out up there with the blue tube, but I think we're going to try it. So we do that same thing. Instead of putting a mask up here, what we would do is come down here on the only masked padding pixels, and we're going to increase this. Okay. I don't usually do this way, so let's try it a couple times, see what it gives us. It's kind of the same thing. Basically what this is saying is it's adding that many pixels to the left, right, bottom, and top, creating a much less focused area for the AI. Okay, yeah, that actually worked really well on this particular image. The other one, it put in some sort of a dog toy there. I don't know what that is. So doing that, again, it works. I think you're going to get, the results may end up being a little more random. Because with you putting a masked area up here, it increases that masked area quite a bit. The other technique we can do is instead of doing only masks, what you do is you just do whole picture. Okay. With the only mask padding, you don't need to worry about that. You can actually set that wherever. It's not going to affect this. You still want to do the mask blur between upwards of like 10 to 12. Okay. Let's give that a try. Just doing whole picture. Okay. And show you the results on that one. Okay, so I want to just say this up front. This is actually the technique I usually use, is just set it to whole picture, mask out the area I want, and set it to go. Okay, and it masked it out really well. As you can see, there's almost no difference between the two, just a slight bit of difference in the seams there. So again, great way to do it. I think it's quicker, easier to do it that way. Let's go ahead and send this one over to Inpaint now. Let's reset the mask. So when you send your picture over, the one you just finished, send it back over to Inpaint if you want to start removing more objects. You got to reset the, well, what's interesting, I think they fixed it. Before, when you send it over, the mask would disappear, but the mask was still there, and even though you couldn't see it. So I'm kind of in the habit of just erasing the mask completely first. So we're going to get rid of some of these other smaller toys. We're just going to mask that one out. Let's change the mask area for this one a little bit. Again, mask that out. This is going to be a little interesting because we've got some objects closer to some other objects, so we might get some funkiness going on there. Let's see. Let's go ahead and give that a try. See what happens there. Okay. All right, that actually worked really well. As you can see, it removed the object, filled in the ball, gave us the flooring we wanted, and we got rid of those tiny little toys. Okay. Let's see. Did the other one do that too? Yeah, the other one did it too. Again, this is the better technique. Leave it on whole picture, mask out what you want, okay? Give it plenty of context around the object you're wanting to erase or change even, and it should get rid of it, okay? Let's try something a little more complex. Let's send that over to Inpaint again, so get rid of the mask. So you can see we got rid of those small little toys, okay? Let's see, we got some weirdness up here with this. So one of the things that's very difficult with Inpainting and removing objects is the larger the object is, the harder it is to get rid of. The reason for this is because you may not have enough context. And I keep saying context surrounding imagery that you want to fill in that object with may not be enough. That's why I'm saying down here with these smaller ones, it was easier because you could surround it with much more of the surrounding image, the flooring, that the AI is like, oh, this is what we're going to put in here. Okay. But larger objects that don't have that are a little harder. So we're going to try a couple things. Typically what you do is you do it bit by bit. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove this weird toy up here on this table and this string thing here. We're going to leave this one up here. So the thing I want to start off with is we're going to mask that out. We're going to create some context here around this. We're just going to get rid of this one object. Okay. Let's give that one a try and see what that does. So as you can see, yeah, it's a little more difficult. I'm not giving, the context is that you have something coming into it, so it's expecting to put something there. So this is probably the best one we have right now. So what we're going to do, we're going to take that one, send it over to Inpaint. We're going to erase the Inpainting mode. What we're going to do is we're going to do this all the way over here. We're going to go ahead and use that as context there. We're going to include some of this wall right here. Okay. We're going to run that again. So as you can see, we're gradually getting rid of it. But what you're noticing is that it's putting in what we're prompting. So you got a little dog, kind of a toy. So we're going to generalize the prompt a little bit more as we move into the next phase of removing those objects. So we're going to get rid of that mask, come up here. And let's just say intricate digital illustration of, let's say, toy room wall. Okay, we're just going to, very general, nothing specific. Now we're going to come over here and we're going to start masking out. We're going to include all this wall. Okay, going to dive down there to the table. Make sure we give it as much context as we possibly can that's outside of the toy. Okay, so the AI has something to work with. I'm also going to increase the denoise strength just a little bit, okay, and render that out. So like I said, this is a much more difficult one, but here's something we got that we can work with, okay. The other picture, I'll show you the other picture. It just created something on the wall. I don't know what that is, a bone, maybe something or whatever, but here's something we can actually work with. It's given us two separate little objects, okay? And so we can do individual masking on those as well. So let's send that over to Inpaint, get rid of the mask, start with this one, okay? I don't know if we should include the table. Again, we're going to just take in as much of the wall as possible. Let's add a color to this. Toy room wall, I think it's teal. Teal. And see what we get there. Yeah, still not giving me what I want. So what we're going to do, I think part of the problem is we're including part of the table. So we're going to try and keep that out of the mask. We may have to switch to one of the other techniques as well. So let's render that one more time. See if we can get something a little different. Yeah, let's switch over to one of the other techniques. So we're going to go ahead and do only masks. We're going to do up to 60 on the mask padded pixels. And we're going to include a mask point. Shrink it down a little bit here. We're going to do it all the way down here. Okay. Intricate digital illustration of a toy room wall, teal. Let's get rid of intricate. AIs will interpret it as there has to be detail there. Okay, let's try that and see what it does. Could be that I'm also overthinking this a little bit. It's doing something a little different. Okay. But I'm thinking maybe what we ought to do is just do this empty wall. Emphasize it. Generate again. Sometimes you're going to fight these things. I'm not going to lie. That's a much better result. You can see it generating it. Okay, so we got a little thing in there, but let's check the other one. That one's better. So let's grab that one there. Let's send that over. get rid of the mask, and let's mask out this and see, now that we got plenty of wall to work with. Okay, and we're going to do the same in paint only, the only masked area again. So we are going to add a small little masked area over here, generate, and voila, there we go. You know, a lot of it is just going to be messing around, and the prompt does play a very important role, especially in these complex areas here. Sometimes you may need to finesse that, basically coming at it from different angles. So it blended that one okay. It was a little bit better. We got a little bit of stuff going on right here, which I'm not going to worry about. You get the idea, okay? So that's one way of doing it. So, well, a couple of different ways of doing it. Using both the whole picture, only masked. I showed you at the beginning how to just do it using the regular model versus an in-painting model, okay? I may do a separate video here on in-paint anything. It's gotten a lot more complex since the last video I did on this, and I think it's going to take more time to discuss this. So we'll do that as like a part 2 in the series of in-painting, using in-painting to erase things and or change things too. So I'll do that in the next video. Like and subscribe. Smash that like button and subscribe to our channel. We have a great Discord community as well that's growing a lot. We've got a lot of people discussing things on how to do things. We have some channels set up for creating your own, like, hey, help me out with this. I think it's going to benefit a lot of different people. Would love to hear your questions, comments. Tell me how these videos are for you guys, and we'll talk to you later.